Carthage must be destroyed. Hello everyone. I just think it's time to finish this series up with the last few videos here, so I'm just going to continue on with them, and hopefully we have some new content and some cooler stuff in 2021 to share with you guys on this channel. So anyway, we're going to talk about commanders here today, and commanders in Hail Caesar are essential to give orders, give commands. They are a main part of this game. So a commander, as you can see here, I've got a commander. He's my Republican Roman commander. I've got him in there mixed in with some Victrix parts from both the Roman and the Carthaginian kit. In any case, he is just on a circle base there with a retinue. He's got a bodyguard and a banner bearer behind him. Those two don't really mean anything. In Hail Caesar, commanders are completely aesthetic. You could put him on a square base, you could put him on a rectangular base, you could put him on a bigger circle base, you could put the commander on a mount, on an elephant, a chariot. The size of the commander base, or what the commander looks like, or who's on his base is entirely up to you, right? You could take, say, this is my armies, or this is my divisional commander, or you could take, this is a velite, and a single velite, I don't know how to pronounce the singular form of velites, but you could take the single guy, and he's got a special shield compared to his buddies, and you say, he's the commander of my division. So whatever you want a commander to look like, it's entirely up to you. How you want to base them, how you want to have them stand out in the army, it is your decision. You don't want to make them too massive, I think. Here's another example of my Punic War commander. He's just got a bodyguard. He doesn't have a banner with him, but he's on a smaller base, but he's the commander of another army if I wanted to do it, or another division rather. The thing with commanders, the important thing is that you're always going to measure from one of two places. You can choose which to do it from, but you're either going to make measurements with the commander from his head or from the center of the commander's base if you don't want to go towards the head. So anything involving the measurements from commanders is going to come from either their base center or the commander's head itself. Now in Hail Caesar, these commanders, and I'll show you guys here a division. He's commanding a division here. Commanders are in charge of a single division. You'll probably have multiple commanders, and you'll have multiple divisions in an army. If you have one massive division, you'll just have one commander. In any case, commanders walk around, they join battles, they rally troops, they do a whole bunch of things here, but commanders also die. They can die in the game. When that happens, you're going to need reserve commanders. Now, reserve commanders, what I normally do is I might just use the same command base and say he's a reserve commander, but some people even make a separate command base and maybe just put a single model on a base, and they have that single model representing the reserve commander. So what happens with the reserve commander is, let's say that this guy dies, however he dies, there's multiple ways he can die in a game. Let's say he dies, he's removed from the game board. Within 12 inches of the spot the commander dies, you can put a reserve commander. And however you represent it is fine. Let's just say this guy's the reserve commander. This guy died. His reserve commander pops out anywhere 12 inches from within the spot that commander dies. He could join a unit, he could be on his own, but he has to pop out 12 inches away from where the commander dies. If the commander's here, we talked about leadership before, way back in some of the earlier videos. Whatever your commander's leadership was, the reserve commander that comes out will have -1 to what his command was, okay? So if he was or rather it should be leadership. If his leadership was 8, then this reserve commander's leadership will be 7. If a reserve commander dies, the same thing happens. There will be a reserve commander for the previous reserve commander. That reserve commander will also pop out 12 inches away and have -1 to his command, so he'd be down to 6 leadership. Okay, I keep saying command, I mean leadership. So if you started with leadership 8 and if you started with leadership 8 and this commander died, the reserve commander would have 7, and then if he dies, the next reserve commander would have 6. The rule book says the lowest you can go is 5, so you won't be running around with anything less than 5. If you have the reserve commander out to the point where he's leadership 5, your army's not going to really be doing well anyway at that point. The army's probably really beaten up, or you've been really unlucky with your commanders. So it doesn't go less than 5. Now, every army needs to have a general. The general is a specific special commander, and I'll just show you a shot of him there as I talk about this. The general here is one of the commanders that's the overall leader, and the way it works is that the general still only commands one division of troops, right? A division must have one commander. And let's say you have 2 divisions, so you'd have 2 commanders. you have to choose one of those commanders to be the army general. In Hail Caesar, the only thing that a general really benefits from is a reroll on their orders. So once per turn, if you're rolling for orders, and let's say you roll a blunder on the first roll, or a bad result, you fail orders, the general can re-roll that once per turn. So obviously you want one general in there. If you screw up the orders, he can re-roll it and he'll be able to move. Now, if your general dies and he's replaced by a reserve commander, unfortunately that reserve commander does not have the re-roll rule. Only one commander in all of your game, the general, will have that re-roll rule, and once he dies in game, or is slain, he will not be rolling with any other unit. He loses his reroll, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you don't want your general to die because you'll lose that reroll. And that's basically all the general is in this game. He's just a special commander with the ability to re-roll order dice if he screws up. He can only re-roll once, as I said, and yeah, don't lose it, it's important. Now, there's also a special alternative commander-in-chief rule in the rulebook. If you don't like that simple general rule, and I think it's very simple for the general, you can do the commander-in-chief rule. And what that does is that it makes a model, a single general, separate from all the divisions. And what they can do is they can ride around the battlefield and they'll join a division one at a time and use those rerolls just for that division. So you could do that where all divisions have their own commander, and then you have a single model which represents a general that can join different divisions and use his reroll ability between divisions. So you could switch it up, and then the general's never really part of only one division. He can switch back and forth if he wants. The rules of that, of course, though, is that he has to touch the commander of that division to take over it, and he can only join units for combat and ordering them within that division. So it's kind of just a way to have the general separate from divisions, but also able to go into each division and switch it up between teams, or between turns rather. But yeah, if you want to try the commander-in-chief rule, there's that alternative in Hail Caesar. I haven't tried it out. I've been okay with the simple single general, but maybe in a large game it'll be something worth having when you've got like 4+ divisions running around. So we talked about commanders before giving orders to units, like moving forward or charging and stuff like that. But there's also some special orders they can do throughout the game. The first one we're going to talk about is called Follow Me. So Follow Me is where a unit is joined by a commander and they get to move 3 moves in whatever direction and however you want without telling your opponent how it's going to go down. So what do I mean by that? Okay, well, let's say that this commander, he gives the orders to these 2 units first to move, and they're successful. They move whatever which way. That guy goes forward, this guy goes forward. Don't hit each other's spears there. And then he only wants to give one more order in the game to, say, the units back here. Well, let's move these guys forward. Let's just move them forward. All these guys take orders. They move forward, but this unit's lagging behind, and it's within 12 inches of the general, or not the general, the commander. Any commander can do this. He is within 12 inches of that unit there, and he says, okay, follow me. What this guy can do within 12 inches, that he can, if he's successful on the order, use the follow me order, join that unit, and then he's able to move 3 moves in any direction. He doesn't have to declare how he's going to move to the opponent. He just has to say that he's doing a follow me order. And then if it's a successful roll, you have to still test leadership and stuff. If he's successful, he can join those guys within 12 inches, and then they can move in any which direction up to 3 moves. So this is useful, especially if you have a unit behind, say, these guys which are going forth. Say there's a unit behind them lagging behind. It's really useful to use this just to get this slacking unit forward really fast. So it's a good thing to use if you want to get, say, a unit that's moving quickly. It's especially useful if you have something like cavalry hiding behind, because the cavalry can move 3 whole moves just going forward directly. Once you give a follow me order, though, it's the last order of that turn that you can do. So the commander will join the unit, and then he will also make it move 3, and then his command turn is done. So something like follow me is something you want to do after you've done all your regular orders, because the follow me order after he moves with a unit ends the turn completely. I mean, it doesn't end the turn completely, it ends the order phase of the turn completely. And yes, you can charge, you can change formations as long as it follows the movement rules. So the commander, if he says follow me, he could join them, and then he could, you know, maybe they're in an open order formation, he could say, okay, our first move is form up, we move forward, then charge an enemy. He doesn't have to tell the opponent what he's doing or declare what he's doing, he can just do it. And I think the idea is that the commanders join that unit and they're basically following him directly. It's more like, you know, they're literally following what he's doing for 3 full moves of that unit's value. So it's useful in certain situations. I don't use it a whole lot, but it does turn up sometimes to be used. And as I said, once he's done a follow me order, he is with that unit until the end of the next turn, I believe. So yeah, he's part of that unit until the turn is over. And then he can pop out next time and give out other orders, or continue on if he wants to. And something special to note here, if if the commander fails the follow me order, then he's not going to join the unit, he's not going to move. And then if he fails that order, that unit also has no move. And it's important to note here that some units get a free move if they fail an order, if they're drilled, I believe it is. So a lot of Roman units have that, where if you give an order to a unit and the commander fails the order, they can still move once because they heard the order, but you know, they still follow through because they've been drilled. Even if they're drilled, they don't get this because the commander actually hasn't told them what to do. He was going to join the unit, but for whatever reason, he couldn't get to them, and they have no idea what he's doing. So even if they get a move for a failed order, normally, they don't actually get to fulfill the order because nothing was declared to them other than follow me. Commander's not moving, so why would they follow him if he's not moving, right? Another really important command is the rally command. Rally is useful because it helps you to remove stamina and casualties from the unit. I'll call them casualties, but it's actually stamina that's been dealt damage to. So let's say that these Romans here engage these Samnite warriors, and they're fighting for a bit, and the Samnites eventually lose and they break off. They have a break test and they give ground, they're disordered or whatever. Let's say they're not disordered, because if they're disordered, remember, if a unit's disordered, they can't take orders. So for simplicity, let's just say they give ground with no issue or whatever, and say they've taken 3 points of stamina in casualties. The Romans could, of course, continue. They follow up and continue fighting, but let's just say that the Roman player here decides not to. These guys give ground, and now they've got 3 casualties out of 6 on them. One thing that the commander could do is that he could rally a unit, and this also requires a command and a leadership value. So what you would do is you'd probably want to give all your other orders in the army first. You know, maybe this commander here wants to order these guys forward and do something else. The rally, like follow me, will force the commander to join the unit. So what happens is that it joins the unit. If it rolls successfully, it'll join the unit and it will remove one of those stamina markers. So this is kind of a way, I'm going to say, how to heal units. It's not really healing, it's kind of like, it's rallying them, really. So if they've taken 2 or higher casualties, or stamina values as casualties, they can remove 1 off. You always will have 1 stamina mark on it, though you can't go less than 1. So, and again, once the commander has rallied a unit, that's the last order he can give that turn. Then he's part of that unit. He can next turn leave the unit and do other things, of course. So yeah, those are the 2 special kind of rules, follow me and rally. Once you do them, whether you fail them or you succeed, both of those special rules end your command phase of the turn, or the order phase of the turn. So use them at the end. Do all your other orders first, and then do the command, do all your other orders first, and then do follow me and rally. That's the best way to do it.